have it. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday afternoon here, or Wednesday afternoon, I should say. Or Thursday. Jeez, I'm getting all my
Thursday.
days.
I just said Thursday
Getting all my
recently. Don't
days
get me wrong.
mixed up. Whew. It's been a long week. We got a little best ball action coming to you here. We're gonna do a DraftKings Best Ball draft with Justin, which I feel like is a fun little different thing. Don't see too many DraftKings drafts out there, so excited to talk through that with you. We're also going to be ripping some Blitz Best Ball packs, giving them away to those of us in chat here. Keep in mind, you can head on over to the Blitz Fantasy website, otmnft.com/blitzfantasy. We've got the 99 gold June Best Ball packs available for sale, and just recently added a new 500 gold single entry game that people can get in the mix on. So head on over there. Justin, back-to-back drafts for you. I know you just got done a draft over at the Establish the Run channel.
Yeah, just finished one over the ETR, brought on Eric Moody, which was great, on-air ESPN talent, had some great discussion there. The beauty of Best Ball for DraftKings is they now have a board, an actual draft board that we can use, because making streams much better. So we'll get that fired up. Let me get that set up. We'll jump into draft, and then I think we're gonna talk some strategy for that, as well as do some actual blitz packs and do some giveaways there. So I'm excited.
Absolutely, yeah. Good mix of things today. We got some people in chat. We got Ace John, JM, what's going on? Of course, whenever there's the word giveaway in the universe, Ace John is aware and joins the chat. What's going on? Peter, hey, how's it going? Chewy in the building. T-Fire, JM. How's everyone doing? Let's do it here, Justin. So yeah, let's what's the flagship $10? Is that what we're going for here with DraftKings?
Yeah, we got a little $10. These usually fill pretty quickly. This is my first time doing a draft. Actually, no, I think I did one more on the computer. I think I'm 70 drafts into this one. So I did a decent amount of these early on when it loaded up, because I just know there's no way I'm going to have time to be doing all of these and all of the VVMs and all the others in August. So I've been doing a decent amount of these little $10 ones previously.
Good idea. Yeah, kind of get them out of the way early. I know I saw, was it Rudman on Twitter? Someone from Hayden, it might have been Hayden Winks, said that his favorite contest over on Underdog is yet to come this year. So teasing that there's still some more best ball contests coming across the industry. We'll see what else, if anything, DraftKings has cooked up. But yeah, pumped to get into this, and it's nice that DraftKings has updated the product to have more of that kind of screen sharing, interactive draft experience. And there's multiple ways to play best ball. What would you say are the biggest differences between for anyone that maybe is playing over on Underdog versus DraftKings?
So we'll definitely discuss that. We are only at 5 of 12 entrants, unless it doesn't auto refresh. Oh, there we go. Auto refresh 9 of 12. So we are close. So if you do want to join, you still have time. Go ahead and join the $10. Do we? I don't know. I feel like most people have used DraftKings before, but if you haven't, I mean, do we have a promo code or something people can use?
We do indeed. Yeah. So if you have not yet signed up for DraftKings, there's a link there's theoretically a link in the chat, although it looks like something wrong may have happened with it. So let me make sure I get the proper link in there, or you can just sign up with promo code OTM over at DraftKings.com. One of our partners here at Own the Moment. We've been doing tons of content for their Rainmakers PGA Tour game. We've got some best ball stuff here coming now. Rainmakers football will also be coming in the next 2 to 3 months here. So lots of good stuff going on with our partners over at DraftKings. Make sure you sign up, promo code OTM, and I'll also make sure I get the proper link. It looks like it works if you just copy and paste it, but for some reason it's not showing up as a hyperlink.
It works. All right, and we are still at 10 of 12, so we still need this to fill. But I was thinking in the meantime, maybe we just let's open a pack first. Let's do a little best ball blitz pack in the meantime.
I love it. Yeah,
I'll let you take over screen sharing. And
sure thing. Let me get that going here in a second. Justin, why don't you give the people a quick refresher on the Blitz game for anyone that is in chat that maybe has not yet played?
Okay, I will. And I just got a notification that it did fill, so
Perfect.
we can do that afterwards. No worries at all. Well, since it filled, let's talk about the underdog DraftKings kind of differences and such for anyone who is not as who's been doing underdog or familiar with underdog, but maybe not the DraftKings. And while that happens, I will get this screen share going. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So big differences are 20 rounds instead of 18. We got Dink in here. What is Dink doing in a
wow
with me?
Dink grinding the $10.
Crap.
Love it.
Love it. All right. 20 rounds instead of 18 allows you to kind of take a bit more of a balanced strategy. Maybe go 3 QB, maybe go 3 tight end, and not be really hurt. We are going to have pick 12. All right. Means we get a lot of chatting in between our picks. That's okay. Other differences are it is DraftKings scoring instead of underdog scoring. So you're getting the bonuses. You're going PPR. And so that makes me want to draft more wide receivers early and makes QBs a little less important than they are on underdog. If you think about what percentage points a quarterback contributes in half PPR versus full PPR, it is a decent amount more in the half PPR format. So QBs should theoretically go a little earlier there. Here we can wait because they're not as important, and we can grab 3 more easily. Tight ends, you can still go with a late round 4 tight end strategy. But if you're able to get elite one, they're able to separate away from the pack further because someone like Kelsey, it's not just about like scoring touchdowns. He could still have an 8 for 80 and no touchdowns day. That's 16 fantasy points. Where when you're taking your Hunter Henry late, even that 3 for 20 and a touchdown is only what 10, 11 points or so. Like still less than that. Substantially less than that 8 for 80.
Yeah. The PPR definitely makes a massive difference. I mean, we see it in just DFS. And that extrapolates here to the best ball stuff. And the bonuses too definitely would come into play on a week-to-week basis. Wide receivers go crazy early in underdog too, right? So are they going even earlier in DraftKings, or is that the edge to be
They're
had?
not, but they should. In general, the DraftKings just isn't as sharp of an audience. The people who are doing the best ball, bro, the ones who are really grinding like underdog, it's just a stronger kind of competition field and such. DK, you still get a lot of casuals. You still get kind of a bit more of the old school. So while they should be going earlier, I would say they're going either the same or maybe even a little later. We'll see how this draft comes to us. Usually in the 12 slot, I end up starting wide receiver based off who's available and just the kind of construction. No real surprises in the first round here, other than maybe Kelsey going a few picks earlier. Definitely don't see him going before Jamar Chase often. All right, on the board here, we've got Devontae, we've got CeeDee Lamb, we've got Bijan, Saquon. I'm just thinking Devontae and CeeDee just to kind of grab those 2 wide receivers that we talked about.
I feel like that is a very nice start.
Let's see.
2 elite wide receivers, give you that high floor, give you that high upside.
Yeah, I like that. And, Amon-Ra went number 10. A lot of times in this 12 spot, I'm ended up going like Amon-Ra and CeeDee Lamb. You're getting that week 17 correlation indoor game between Detroit and Dallas. That is juicy. Ooh, Josh Jacobs going quite early. Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs both going very early. We have a unique Ezekiel builder here. If we take a look at ADPs of these two, let's see where I see ADP from there we go. If you take a look, Josh Jacobs' ADP is 27. Derrick Henry's ADP is 21. Ooh. And they went 11 and 14 here, so pretty early.
This is why we play on DraftKings, right?
Hey, yeah. I mean, so it's interesting too, because there is argument for, you know what, this is probably going to be the only person in however hundreds of thousands. I think there's 1 million entries for this contest.
That's true. This one has an even more extreme. Like this, there's just so many entries.
I'm pulling up right now the details so we can talk through, because
You
I
can
think it's
almost
like
justify
a 13.
anything because of that, right? It's like, well, if you do something that's quote unquote bad, maybe that's good because now you're unique and you're gonna have to hit the 1 in a literal million chance in order to win this thing. So
I am not the one that makes the arguments that doing extremely negative EV eventually becomes plus EV because it's just unique, but I'm willing to at least entertain the argument for others. And I think this is an example of that. But I'm looking right now. This is the $10 entry. There are going to be 1.178, almost 1.2 million entries in this.
wow.
And in order to make it to kind of win, the final round is, I believe it's 1,364 entries.
Wow. So you have to win a pretty good sized GPP in and of itself on top of, you know, hitting the lottery 4 times in a row.
It is pretty crazy, but the positives at least are the payouts are very flat for this, which is fantastic. What that looks like is first place is $1 million. Second is 526,000, then 400,000, 300,000,
Oh, wow,
250,
that is nice.
200, 150. Obviously a big jump between first and second, but after that, fairly flat. When you compare to like Underdog, one of my main criticisms about their scoring and their payouts is just it's 3 million to first, and then I think like let me look at the Underdog real quick, but it drops very quickly. So for theirs, it's 3 million to first, 1 million, then it goes 300, 150, 100. So like fifth place is 100K. Fifth place is 3% of first, which is crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that is absolutely insane.
Making sure
Wow. I mean, even just looking at the colors on the board right now, there's just not as much yellow gone yet as you would think.
Oh my
in
gosh,
terms of the positions being drafted.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, it'll be interesting to see like who has yellow to begin with and who's going to keep going yellow. And now I'm looking at like just kind of so Bijan Robinson and Saquon both falling to these spots are pretty far. I get Saquon's
that is nice value there.
Bijan falling here is pretty crazy. But that's what happens when Hurts goes a little early. Jacobs goes very early. Garrett Wilson even went a little earlier than he does. That's about right, though. Mahomes goes with the Kelsey, getting that stack. Also, they grab T. Higgins. That's the Week 17 bring back. Cincy and Kansas City playing against each other. Quick overview of what that bring back and why that Week 17 matters. As we said, you're going to beat out 1,300 plus teams to win that first place $1 million. And so what you're trying to hope for is that your key players. Chris Paul has been traded to the Warriors for Jordan Poole and future draft assets. Breaking news as we were streaming. Chris Paul to the Warriors. All right.
NBA is off to a quick offseason. We had the Porzingis news come in pretty late last night.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know the NBA all that well, but that trade to me just didn't. It seemed like Boston got a great deal there.
It did. A lot of it has to do so Smart was on a really good contract friendly. Porzingis gets really expensive, but there's arguments about the new CBA. That's what you should be doing is taking on a very expensive player and then filling it in with like secondary assets. I'm not an expert there either, but was interesting to read through. We're about to be back on the board. Let's take a look at who we have available. We've got Keenan Allen. We've got Christian Kirk. We've got Jahmyr Gibbs and Mari Cooper. My lean is at least Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen feels great for full PPR too. Like
it does. For sure. And we then are thinking, so we could. All right, we're gonna just take Keenan Allen for the first one. Calvin Ridley's the best from an ADP. These are ETR ranks, has Christian Kirk a decent amount ahead. I'm okay with Calvin Ridley just from the ADP standpoint and getting a little more unique. How's that sound?
Looks good to me.
Okay. and we are going 4 straight wide receivers to start it off. This is what we talked about. There's a couple people who are probably also run underdog or drafted, but you got Bryce Daniels goes 3 straight wide receivers with Olave at 3.5. Good value, great value there. Chanelsko, 3 straight wide receivers, grabbing DK. Dink piece, grabbing that Breece Hall in the second. So for those who don't know, Dink piece, one of my fellow colleagues that established the run, Drew Dinkmeyer, one of the great DFS minds, and it'll be fun to see what he's able to put together here with his draft. Ezekiel goes on auto draft, grabbing his 3rd running back here.
Sometimes you just have to make sure you get Henry and Jacobs early, and then jam auto draft the rest of the way.
We'll see if this leads to a very strong running back room here with Narendra. We've got 3 running backs. Joe Mixon going very early, paired with Lamar Jackson. Interesting. If this doesn't make you want to go jump in,
I was legitimately just about to say that this really makes me want to do best ball on DraftKings. I mean, what is happening?
It's just funny because look, Bryce Daniels, Chanelsko, and us.
Yeah.
4 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of when you sit down at a poker table and you're like, you look around, and you're like, all right, these are the 2 other players here, and then a bunch of other people like that. It's like the rounders, if you can't spot the sucker in the draft board, it's you, and you can spot them here. I wouldn't say I've ever found it as apparent on an underdog draft of like, oh, there's certain people that are running with one strategy and others that aren't. I guess, especially at this time of the year, right? With more of the sharper people drafting. But yeah, this is, like I said, a picture says 1,000 words here. The colors say it all.
Yeah, I think most extreme drafts, first, obviously, Ezekiel, because he grabbed Henry and Jacobs and just went so off the board to grab those 2. Then you've got Narendra here going RB, Lamar, RB. I don't mind, like if I grabbed Eckler at 7, that's normal. Grabbing Bijan at 2.6, that's actually really good value. I love it. Grabbing Lamar at 3.7, I get it because there's a bit of a cliff there and like you're, Debo DK. But then this is where I think had to have gone with a wide receiver instead of Mixon. Grabbing that 3rd running back here this is the one that if you look back will hurt him in the draft.
Yep. I also feel like with quarterback too on DraftKings, you can get away with, piecing together 3 guys more so than underdog, because just like in DFS, right? You get the guys that get the random 300-yard week. They can get the bonus. They get some passing touchdowns. It doesn't feel like as far off as in underdog, right, where it's like, yeah, Allen, Hurts, Mahomes, they're a clear cut above.
Yeah, and I mean when you're like the prices we're paying, the people are paying for QBs here, 2.5, 2.10, 3.2, 3.7. All of these guys have substantial rushing expectations. Obviously, Hurts and Lamar the most, but Mahomes and Josh Allen, you're still counting on 40 plus yards a game, at least 30 plus. In underdog, rushing yards are extremely important because there's no bonuses and like that's how you're scoring your points and stuff. And like it's a lower scoring overall. You're putting up like 120, and that's a good week for underdog. In DraftKings, because everyone else is scoring so high because PPR, because the QBs that are pocket QBs that are able to get those bonuses more easily on the 3 points for 300 yards, like the rushing just isn't as valuable. So it goes with what you're saying as well. Like, hey, if you can grab those QBs later on, like Kirk Cousins or someone who's consistently thrown for 300 yards, that's pretty valuable. All right, Dink piece grabbing Justin Fields naked here. We'll see if DJ Moore falls back to him for his stack. Narendra just says, I don't want any wide receivers. No wide receivers for Narendra. DJ Moore
0
goes there.
WR.
Let's see
The
what
new
our friend
strat.
Ezekiel is back in the draft. So that's good. We don't like the auto. We don't want anyone auto drafting. As Ezekiel thinks about it, we are on the board. We do have Justin Herbert at the top and stacked
Stack him
with
up
a
with
Keenan
I mean,
Allen.
that feels like it just feels like a no-brainer.
I'm happy with that. We then have the ability to kind of take our first running back. We can grab a J.K. Dobbins.
I like Dobbins.
Okay. Trying to think if we wanted to grab that, or do we want to say, hey, Marquise Brown is still like. Let me look at this board again. Can we get away? I'm gonna say we're grabbing more wide receivers.
Let's go.
We're doing it.
The true zero RB.
We're gonna punish some others. We can start 4 wide receivers every week. You're not expecting these 4 to be them, so you throw in a Marquise Brown in there. He's gonna fit the lineup a decent amount of times. I was tempted with J.K. Dobbins just a little because they've got us on auto draft because we put him in the queue. Let's make sure we are out of auto draft. I was tempted with J.K. Dobbins because with Todd Monken, the new offensive coordinator heading over there are murmurs that it's going to be a faster paced team, that they're going to throw the running backs more often. Those are all things you love to hear, especially for a Ravens running back. But my thing is, like, J.K. Dobbins has never been a pass catcher. Didn't catch that much in college. Hasn't done it in the NFL. Their other running back, Gus Edwards, not catching passes either. So I'm willing to buy that, like, they're going to be a faster paced team. But, like, Lamar just hasn't been a QB who dumps off to running backs. Dobbins isn't a running back that catches many passes. So I'm not buying that. And from a DK perspective, I don't know. I think with Dobbins, drafting him there, you're paying for the comfort of knowing you've got a solid running back. But if we go 6-7 running backs later on, I think we can match his production pretty easily.
And I like the idea of going with this zero RB type strategy on DK specifically. You can find some of those late running backs that either have the upside to, get more in the mix with an injury, or maybe some third down backs that have the upside for 4, 5, 6 catches in a given week, which gives you a little floor there. So I do think you get some nice outs in DK there, similar to how, in DFS sometimes we're keen to pay down at some running back spots and just get the volume, get some of those catches, and touchdowns will inevitably come over the course of the season.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting. I'm usually a phone drafter, but like there really is substantial value to drafting while watching a draft board. And like, it's hard on a, mobile, even with Underdog, to see the whole draft board. You got to keep scrolling and stuff. It's not the greatest visual. DraftKings doesn't even have one for the mobile yet. Drafters similarly has a good draft board on web, but not on mobile either. It's just hard to create the right functionality there. But what I'm saying is, like, to be able to see what's happening in a draft, because it lets you get a feel for where you should be investing. But like, we kept bringing up Narendra. Narendra again grabs Dalvin Cook with a 6-6. 0 wide receivers for Narendra with a QB and a tight end. There was another noteworthy.
Would you consider that is that lineup drawing completely dead already?
Not completely dead, just because
you never know.
So much of it is about the players that you go, but like, they have decreased their EV by
a lot.
I don't know, at least 50-60% of their entry fee. But we'll see if they stop at these 4 running backs and now just go crazy heavily on wide receivers. Maybe they grab a Zay Flowers and a Rashad Bateman to get some Lamar stacks. Like, maybe they can, make it work, and then they just got to hit on their wide receivers. But it's tough. It's tough. The other thing I was going to note is the Bryce Daniels, who went 5 wide receiver. He grabbed Dobbins, which we were considering, and then he grabbed JSN. So that one is a very similar team to what we are building. He's now got 6 wide receivers in his first 7 rounds. We have 5. We'll see what we end up with in our 7, 12, and 8-1 picks.
Man, it's been a while since I've stared a fantasy football edge in the face like this. It's been a couple years. I feel like this is getting the blood pumping a little bit. Gonna have to start getting into the mix on some draft. Looks like chat is feeling the same way.
Oh yeah. DK is soft traps, and this is their major tournament. Taking a look at what Dink is doing. Dink is not really not getting too many wide receivers. He's going for the elite QB. He's going for the elite upside tight end. He's got Barkley and Hall. Really looking good at every position, and not bad at wide receiver. I kind of like his team, but we're gonna see what it looks like with his additional wide receivers. I mean, are they just we're just gonna keep drafting wide receivers? Is this what this is? All right, we got Traylon Burks.
How many wide receivers can we draft before we get a single running back?
Okay, I do like David Montgomery a lot. And we've got CeeDee Lamb. So let's go with Detroit, Dallas, Week 17. We'll grab David Montgomery as our first running back, making it clear that we grab Traylon Burks first. So we've got 6 wide receivers before we drafted our first running back. David Montgomery is a good fit here. I like it.
First running back on the squad. Things are looking nice. Really like this start a lot.
If I leave this, so because just a weird tech thing, but I'm using Edge for StreamYard and I'm using Chrome for this draft board. So if I look at the chat and I look at our screen over here, unfortunately the draft board won't update. Let me know. I think that's correct, but I think draft board kind of just like freezes.
Yeah,
if there are questions, definitely like put them in because I'm not able to see chat or anything because I'm just going full screen here.
Got it. Yeah, I can man the chat. Chat, if you got any questions.
Narendra grabbing the first wide receiver for them. Brandon Cooks in the 8th round.
Justin, how does it feel to be streaming yellow? Usually you're the running back voice of reason.
I believe they call it pissing yellow for the ship chasing. And I mean, hey, I think underdog, and to be fair, my DraftKings drafts historically have almost always been very wide receiver heavy. I've just never streamed wide receiver drafts on DraftKings, and we don't talk about DraftKings that much because they don't make their data available. So there's not as much like analysis and conversation around it. No, this is a little more extreme than what I'm used to on DraftKings, but like not that much. I still like going heavy wide receiver on DraftKings. Underdog is where I usually like to grab like a hero or maybe even 2 running backs in my early picks. Got another E-Money here with an interesting one. Definitely went with a plus EV, a sharper strategy to begin with the stacking and the bring back in T. Higgins. But looking at just T. Higgins and Kadarius Toney is a rough. Granted, that's a stack partner with Kadarius, but like that's a rough wide receiver core. Zay Jones as wide receiver 3 leaves you looking for a bit more. This is why it's so important to draft wide receivers this year specifically, because after in this spot,
crazy. It gets crazy, the drop off.
Dotson, Cooks, and Quentin Johnston. I like all of these. After that, there's such a strong drop off to where you're looking at guys that like significant injury risk, significant role risk. Elijah Moore may not even be on the field. Zay Jones is the 3rd wide receiver on a good but not like elite team. This is where it's like, I'm glad I got my wide receivers. Let me now start going for those running backs that can either fill spots or provide upside. And from a tight end strategy, I think we'll probably go with like a 3 or maybe even 4 tight end build, depending on what falls to us. We didn't end up with any of the early ones. I don't usually like spending in this area on tight ends because I think it's a little overly costly. And then QB, we'll see whether it's a 2 or 3. We're on a
QB run right now.
Yeah. All right. If we look right now, I think running backs is really where we want to be spending our picks. I like Gibson. I like Dillon. I like Pirine. I'm looking to see from a correlation. Pirine, we get the bring back for LAC. I don't hate that. Green Bay is Minnesota, Washington, San Francisco. Okay, we just grabbed Gibson. I think I'm going to go Dylan. I do like that there's like correlation from the P Ryan to LAC. My challenge with P Ryan is that like I think while he's going to be a great pick, he's not expected to have his maximum value come playoffs, fantasy playoffs, which is where you expect to have a bit more healthy Javonte Williams. And we're expecting to be able to get out of this draft room because look how good our wide receivers are. I'm focused on how do we win that 1,300 person $3 million final.
We were talking about some mini correlation there. Carl in the chat asking, what are your favorite low-cost Week 17 team stacks? Anything in particular that you're seeing more towards the end of drafts, or kind of backdoor stacks that you find yourself checking out most?
Yeah, so first I'll plug Jack Miller at ETR put out an article specifically on Week 17 stacks, so highly recommend going and checking that out. I don't know if it's behind a paywall or not, so a lot of times it's not for these types of articles, but check that out. One that jumps out to me the most, I would say, is Indy Las Vegas. Most of those pieces are all pretty cheap from a drafting standpoint. Game is played indoors, which is a major plus for Week 17. I think in general, all the Las Vegas players, pass catchers, are really good values right now. Like I've got a lot of Devontae, Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, Jacoby Myers, Jimmy G. Like I think there's just value all the way through. And then on the other side with Indy, if you are drafting Indy players, like you could just do it with Anthony Richardson. You could just do it with Jonathan Taylor. But you're expecting is that, like, hey, if either of those two has a good year, the team is actually pretty decent. That means Anthony Richardson's actually successful, or they have a really good ground game and Jonathan Taylor is able to kind of put up points. And so in either of those scenarios where you're making a bet and then you're drafting as if you're right, they are able to put up points against Las Vegas, and that turns into a higher scoring game. Because if you look at the actual game totals, it's not expected to be that exciting. I mean, it's two of the worst teams in the league, or I don't know, worst, but like two of the not good teams in the league. But if you're making bets that they're going to be better than expected, and now we're thinking, okay, there's actually ability for those offenses to click and turn into a bit of a shootout in Week 17. I like those prices a lot.
Words of wisdom there.
Did I lose you? Okay.
Dalton Kincaid coming off the board. A couple other running backs off the board.
Let's see what our friends are doing. Narendra with two wide receivers. Wide receiver 2 being Juju in the 10th round. What other craziness do we have? E-Money over here, knowing he needed to catch up with some wide receivers. Yeah. Runs off Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd, Jacoby Myers. All guys that I like. Tyler Boyd gives him a bring back 2 for that KC stack. Obviously, E-Money knows what he's doing in this draft, but it's a bit unconventional with only the 2 early wide receivers. Let's see what Dink is up to. Dink, after only having 3 wide receivers through the 6, grabs Quentin Johnston, Rashad Bateman, 2 of the last guys that are kind of in that tier before the major drop-off. Definitely Quentin. Rashad's a little iffy, but once you do that, you kind of miss, kind of got to say, hey, this what I call the dead zone for wide receivers, but I think it's an opportunity zone for running backs and QBs. That's why we grabbed 2 running backs. We are about to be back on the board after Ezekiel makes Ezekiel's pick. All right, QB-wise, if we wanted that second one, Detroit's not a horrible one because you get that Detroit-Dallas, and I got the bye week. This would lock us into 2 QBs. Running backs, we are on the board. Chig just went.
I like the Goff call. We've got a little David Montgomery correlation, and then CeeDee Lamb as the bring back. So That's
Not
pretty
bad.
decent.
All right, we'll definitely go Goff now to figure out what we want as the other player. I don't hate the A chain. It's such a big tier, like these two between the next. The reason why A chain's been falling is because of the potential that Dalvin Cook signs there. However, I think it's more if Dalvin Cook wants to be there than they want him, given they have 3 running backs that they're paying for and not really able to get out of the contracts with H and Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. So we're going to make a bet here. And when we are doing a 0 RB build, which is what we've got, where we've got, look, Dave Montgomery, Antonio Gibson, AJ Dillon, Devin Achane. We've got kind of some guys who are going to definitely put up points early on. And then maybe we get some guys here who have like some late season upside of really being able to kind of propel us through the fantasy playoffs. So I like what we've got here. And the beauty of that Jared Goff was, now we are going to have an extra roster spot. We're locked in just 2 QB build. It really is looking like definitely just going to be a 3 or 4 late tight end build.
Looking that way. Welcome to everyone in chat. Hammer that like button if you're watching the stream. For those of you that maybe just joined us, we're going through a DraftKings Best Ball draft right now with Justin. Building really a super team here. Started off with a bunch of wide receivers. Roster looking really squad looking really strong. We're going to be opening up a Blitz Best Ball pack shortly too, doing a little giveaway for chat. So there we have it. Hit the like button. We've also got a stream coming up next Tuesday. So mark your calendars. Next Tuesday, starting at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Going to have on some guests. Do a little football season kickoff. NBA finals are over. Stanley Cup playoffs are over. Football season is going to be here before we know it. So we're bringing on some guests. We're going to be talking some best ball, talking some NFL all day, talking some fantasy football in general. Going to be a good time, Justin. So, you guys can all go ahead, set a reminder for that. It's already posted on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well.
We got some industry friends coming on, and ABD, always be drafting.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at some of these teams again. So Shanowsko, I was going to look at because Shanowsko went 5 wide receivers in the first 6 picks here, and then has not done a wide receiver since. I think that's a pretty strong strategy if you're, at least when you get to that 9th round, not chasing any of these wide receivers that the other teams have to. I got, you're thinking, hey, I got my 5 studs. I'm pretty solid with those. Maybe I'll add another 2 later or so while you fill up all those other roles. Similar to us, we went 6 in the first 7, have not drafted another since. We'll keep an eye thinking ahead. Like Herbert, there's no wide receivers I really care about going forward. Maybe Gerald Everett. With Goff, Jameson Williams goes here, so we missed out on that one. You could maybe do some late stuff, but maybe like Sam Laporta as a tight end too. See where he's going in drafts. It's been pretty high and expensive. Let's see what's available for us as we're coming back around. We're on the clock next. Kendra Miller isn't a bad one. It's one of those running backs that we talked about that like isn't going to come out the gate really strong, but could definitely provide substantial value as the year goes on. So I'm going to queue him up there. And then we're looking, if we did want to grab maybe Sam Laporta for the stack. As you can tell from an ETR ranks wise, it is a substantial reach. But this late, the reach isn't that big of a deal for me.
And it's actually not a reach from an ADP.
Right. This is the time that you're going to get him from an ADP. Yeah. It's not.
We're actually an ADP value.
Does this mean that Gerald Everett was already taken and I missed it? Gerald Everett went in 11th. That is insane. We're not going to get him. So let's at least grab Sam Laporta. That gives us Goff, Montgomery, and the bring back in CeeDee Lamb. That's a pretty good game stack for a 1,300 field tourney. And again, we're expecting Sam Laporta to have a substantially larger role come fantasy playoffs times than now. All right. I'm going to show. Heading over to the ETR Slack. Going to give Dink a little crap for not having. Let's see. What are we going to give him crap for? Those wide receivers are not great. That's what it's going to be.
Especially compared to your wide receivers. I mean, come on. How can he keep up? April Fool's Poker is asking, is the purpose of this game to make money or have fun? Both. Both. The main purpose is to have fun, but I'll tell you, you know what's fun? Is making money. Yeah. So, you got to do it for the fun, but it's a little extra sweet when you win that money. Justin, what would you say to the question of, is the purpose of this game to make money or to have fun?
Especially best ball, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be doing it. This is going to take 45, 50 minutes of our time on a $10 entry, even if you're doing higher stake stuff. You got to actually enjoy the best ball, the drafts, given how long they are. I enjoy them a lot. Now, if you're doing something like Blitz, you can open a pack, you can rip that open. That's going to take you at most, if you want to do it fast, you can do that in 3 minutes. And in that situation, hey, I think it's fun ripping the packs and seeing what you got and building your lineups and such. But if you don't want to have the grind, take all this time, I think that's a great option where you still get the great sweat and enjoyment throughout the season and maybe a little prizes as well. You could open up a Blitz pack and set the lineup in between turns here when you're at the 12-13 turn. You could rip 15 Blitz Best Ball packs in the time of one Best Ball draft. So for those people looking for the real quick fix, that's one way to do it. I like that. Yeah, I did two. I think I did a 555 and a $44, both filled around the same time. And so I was doing two of those on my monitor at home with the two screens. And I was like, this is actually a really good view for what DraftKings put together with the boards and stuff, being able to draft both at the same time. But got to start throwing some packs at the bottom and just start ripping some packs when we got some dead zone time as well.
Good afternoon, NFT degenerates. Polak, chilling with the shades. What's going on? Irony Duck, JM, jolly morning, jolly afternoon. We got people sneaking in drafts at lunch break.
Ooh.
Love to see it.
Yeah, that's great. I do very, very little slow drafts, and I just do a ton of fast drafts. And that'd be a good tweet. Ranking my times that I do fast drafts, my favorites. Number one is probably walking the dog. Get a little exercise, get some enjoyment for the dog while doing a draft. And then it's okay, so I did a 45-minute walk. That's not bad. Number two, maybe the late night laying in bed, where it's just you're not really able to fall asleep. You jump in that late draft just to kind of, as you wind down. I enjoy that one. Lunch one's a great one as well. The SNS one, the shit and shower one, that's an underrated one, but you got to
drafting in the shower here.
Well, I start in the morning. I gotta unload my body, and hopefully your poos aren't taking 45 minutes. That's the first 5-10 minutes of it. Then I'm in a part of the draft where I can queue up, so I hop in the shower, quick shower, eat breakfast, and you got a couple drafts done. It's easy.
This is the true alpha that you don't get everywhere, people. You can find rankings, you can find week 17 strategies, but optimal multitasking things to do while drafting, that is the true alpha from the man who's already done several hundred drafts, and it's not even July yet.
That's true. That's how you get in all these without having to do the slow drafts and go crazy. All right, we're going to look ahead, trying to get a feel for what this team needs. We've got 2, 5, 6, 1. We are not going to draft any more quarterbacks. We are going to draft 2 or 3 more tight ends. We really could use anything. Running backs is probably where we need to invest the most. So maybe we grab 2 running backs here, because after our 180, 181 pick, it really does drop in a running back situation. So taking a look at what's available here, we got Chuba, we got Ty Chandler, we got Leonard Fournette. I'd probably be fine with 2 out of any of these 3. I'm thinking Chuba and Lenny. Was talking with Eric Moody on that stream, ATR stream an hour ago, and saying for Leonard Fournette, like, if no other running back has the level of upside at this spot in the draft that he does. And if you had a situation where it's like, we know that Bengals are already talking about Joe Mixon, that he's got to take basically a salary cut. There's also the risk of suspension. Like, they could very much bring in a Leonard Fournette. And if they drop Joe Mixon, brought in Leonard Fournette, he's probably a 5th, 6th rounder in drafts. And there's no other player that's being drafted right now that would give you that kind of upside. And then even if you're not hitting that nut situation, maybe it's hey, there's an injury on a team. Maybe he just comes in as a complimentary piece. There's a lot of places where he still can kind of surpass his 18th round value. Or maybe it's not 18th, maybe it's 17th? 16th round value. That makes me like him, especially for this build where we're really just trying to have enough running backs that we can hit some home runs. We got 7 running backs right now. From a structure wise, I'm thinking 2, 7, 8, 3, or maybe 2, 7, 7, 4. I'm thinking 2, 7, 7, 4. We're really strong at wide receivers. We don't need to get 2 more.
I agree with that. I feel like we're plenty locked in at the top on wide receiver. Cap it at 7. Load up on some running backs. Load up on some tight ends. Pretty solid quarterback spot with both Herbert and Goff. Really nice construction across the board. And even with the running backs, I feel like there's upside to be had there. It's at least the names of people that have had massive fantasy running back games in the past with people like Montgomery, people like Fournette. So you know that the upside is there. I like it.
Putting Tim Patrick in the queue. We do not currently have a bring back for our Chargers stack of Herbert and Keenan Allen. So Tim Patrick is probably the one. Actually, I'm assuming Marvin Mims is already drafted. Yes, he was. Let's take a look. Where did Marvin Mims go? 16-8. Definitely see an argument that we could have grabbed Marvin Mims here. But no, we're strong in wide receiver. Even if we don't have that great bring back, it was more important to kind of invest in that running back. Because you'll see, we'll do a little 2v2. With our next pick, we're going to look and we're going to say, like, okay, which running back wide receiver combo could we have swapped with, where if we would have got Mims here, which running back would be able to get here, and then compare Mims versus that running back or Fournette versus Tim Patrick. And it'll be close. It's a little risky, though, with the running backs. Like, if we just take a look right now, Chase Brown.
You fall off to, nothingness very, very quickly.
All of these guys right here could all be zeros.
Could be,
that is definitely the risk.
Own zeros. Absolutely.
I mean, granted, Leonard Fournette could too, but I think there's a substantially better chance that Leonard Fournette actually has a role, is on a team. I mean, Chase Brown could literally never see the field. Kareem Hunt could not get signed. He's being patient, is what they said. Made a joke on Twitter of being patient is like when the wife, says she has a headache 3 times in a row. He's not being patient. There's just no one that wants him on their team. Let's see that draft board. Where are we coming back around to? All right, again, we've got 4 more picks to finish this up. That's going to be 1 wide receiver and 3 tight ends. 4 tight ends is not a traditional build, but when you are investing very little to zero draft capital in it, and on DK, I am perfectly content going with 4 tight ends, because if you look at the players available, tight ends are the ones that we can have the most confidence this late in drafts that actually have roles on their team. We looked at those running backs. They may not even be active on game day, but the tight ends that are being drafted now that are available, we know they're at least having roles. It's just a way that the draft board is kind of falling where people aren't excited about tight ends, and you can get good values on those. Let's see who we have available here. Okay, Hunter Henry, Trey McBride, Jake Ferguson, Luke Musgrave, K-Dot and Isaiah Likely, Zach Ertz, Logan Thomas. I'm going to put Isaiah Likely
feels like a great one, yeah.
Just from a pure upside standpoint, you get a Mark Andrews injury, he gives you that. Jake Ferguson isn't horrible because we've got that Dallas-Detroit, so it's another bring back there. Let's throw that up there. LEC, I don't want to touch anything there. Detroit, we already got Laporta. Yeah, let's grab the week 17 bring back. And again, Jake Ferguson could be the number one role there in that Dalton Schultz style role for Dak. So I like that. We go back to the draft board. We've got 2, 7, 6, 3. We're going to finish with one wide receiver, which maybe Tim Patrick. Oh, Tim Patrick goes right actually here, so we missed out on him, but that's okay. As we said, we were not prioritizing the final wide receiver because of how strong our other 6 were, so we'll just grab a wide receiver guy, just a guy, and then another tight end.
Just need a guy, just a body at this point.
Yeah. Any teams we should review here that are interesting? Let's take a look at the positionals up here. We got a 3-4-7-3 here by B Will.
Very balanced, huh?
Yep, we got some balance. 2-6-7, 3-5-7. Nothing really crazy to be honest. No one having 4 of anything. No, what's the? I mean,
people not having. I feel like people have less wide receivers than I would have expected, but maybe with 2 more rounds, people will get more in the 8 to 9. Yeah, a lot of people have only 7 wide receivers.
You are 100% correct in that. The wide receiver, we care about how many wide receivers are on your team, but the round 19 and round 20 players in round 18 are not nearly worth as much as like 3 wide receivers at the end of the draft is probably worth the same thing as like a round 10 wide receiver. Like if you think about production wise, Rondale Moore versus Allen Robinson, Marvin Jones, and Josh Palmer. Like Rondale Moore would probably outscore them, or maybe it's very close from a best ball across the season. So when all these players, so many have only that 6-7 wide receivers this late, yeah, they're under investing. And I think when you've got 3 teams that really took advantage of it, Bryce Daniels, Shanalsko, and us went strong on the wide receivers. Others kind of had to play catch up, and then it just gets so ugly with wide receiver. They're just like, I'd rather be grabbing my 3rd QBs. I'd rather be grabbing my 3rd tight ends because, you just think about what those players are going to produce in the field, and it's more than these dusty wide receivers. Especially the ones that are going to be drafted now in 19 and 20.
Yeah, these 19 and 20th rounds, my goodness.
We can
pick a name out of a hat.
Player board if we take a look. I mean, Wan'Dale Robinson, I like him a lot, but coming off that ACL and so many other mouths to feed there, not great. You've got Khalil Shakir, Robert Woods, Corey Davis, Josh Downs, like Harris Campbell's gotten some buzz out of training camp. It's a bit ugly. We'll find one for us. And then tight ends, even right now, there's still some decent options here in Hunter Henry, Luke Musgrave, K-Dot, and Zach Ertz, Logan Thomas. I mean, I'm fine with basically any of those. So we'll most likely be okay with grabbing a tight end and a who knows wide receiver. Musgrave went here. Bryce Daniels, we were talking earlier with a strong wide receiver build, ends up going with 3 late tight ends, Jawan Johnson, Trey McBride, Luke Musgrave. Curious if he goes to the 4th. Don't see it often, but I could see it with that build. And we're going to have our choice of tight ends. No risks there. I Ideally, I would love a Hunter Henry here. If he goes, I'll probably go Zach Ertz. Cue that up. Then from a wide receiver, this is probably just too much falling for Wan'Dale Robinson. All right, we are up. They got defender Park. Okay. We're going to grab Hunter Henry and then a 20th round Wan'Dale Robinson.
Lock it in.
There it is.
There we have it.
2774.
Pretty good.
Okay. Let's X that out.
All right.
Let's head on back. And
there we have it. DraftKings Best Ball draft in the books. Remember, if you have not yet signed up for DraftKings, you can do so with promo code OTM. You can also click the link in the show notes. Make sure you're signed up there. I'm sure we're going to be doing some more of these Best Ball drafts over the course of the summer. We've also got our weekly Rainmakers content for the PGA Tour game coming your way each and every week on Mondays and Wednesdays. And we've got Blitz Fantasy. Let's go ahead here. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to walk through the Blitz game. We're going to open up a pack. We're going to do a little giveaway here for people in chat. So you're going to head on over otmnft.com/Blitz Fantasy. We've got the main event 99 gold packs available. We also have a brand new single entry that just opened up less than a couple hours ago. So you can check that out. But here we go. We've got our June Best Ball pack here, airdropped into the old account. We're going to open this up. We're going to build a lineup. We're going to talk through the high-level rules of the game and the strategy. And then one lucky winner from chat is going to win this pack. Justin, let's do it here. We'll talk through it as we go. Step one, open up your pack. See that. We got the music jams, but for the sake of the show, we're going to mute that. How the game works. We under here have 20 icons in our pack. Each icon is representative of a team and a position in football. We're then going to use these cards to create a 12-person lineup that will get entered into the entire regular season of the NFL, just like Best Ball works. Cumulative points throughout the entire season. And how these things work is that you get points for the entire position group. So you get the Philadelphia wide receiver card in this game. You then get points for all of the Philly wide receivers every single week. Fun, quick way to play Best Ball. Has some stacking elements. And yeah, we'll get into it here. Your first two are going to be your quarterbacks. The next two, running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 defenses. And then the next 10 are going to be completely random. So to start off, we've got the Cleveland quarterback and the New England quarterback. We've also got Cleveland linked up with wide receiver here. LAC running back, pretty good. KC running back, Cleveland wide receiver, and Baltimore wide receiver. Tennessee tight end, Carolina tight end, and then the New York and Tennessee defenses. Let's round out our pack here and see what we got. Well, those were a little disappointing there, but we got some stuff to work with here. So there we have it. We've got our 20-card pack, and now we go ahead and we build our lineup. We select 12 out of the 20. Only requirement is that you have at least one of each position. Justin, how do we think about getting these packs started?
Okay, so first, I'm always just looking at my position groups, like to see how many I have each position, just to think like where I've got to kind of invest a little more. So we got 3 QBs, 3 running backs, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, and 3 defenses. The 5 tight ends is really tough because just not really where you want to be spending your capital, and not even some great ones there. But let's start off at the top with the QB situation. Cleveland QB, I'm pretty bullish on Deshaun Watson. The team wants to be more pass heavy. They brought in Elijah Moore. They drafted a second Cedric Tillman. So grab that QB, grab that Cleveland wide receiver. We'll get that stack in there. New England QB, New Orleans QB. I don't know if Taysom Hill is counting for New Orleans QB.
He's probably tight end, I'm pretty sure.
I think he's officially tight end. pretty sure he's tight end. We probably want to grab one more QB, though. Maybe throw in New Orleans. It's still better with Derek Carr than we've got with Mac Jones. Running backs, we don't have many, but they're pretty strong. Love LAC, so locking that one in. And KC and Buffalo. KC, you're getting Pacheco and McKinnon, maybe Taurean Prince. Buffalo, you're getting James Cook and Damian Harris, a little less exciting. I'd say let's throw in Kansas City. I feel good about that for now. And this is not PPR. So, we're really looking for yards and touchdowns. Maybe we'll keep an eye on Buffalo. Wide receivers, let's go last because I kind of want to go based off how many slots we're going to have available. I would go just kind of a one tight end, one defense build here. Thinking through tight ends, Tennessee is Chig, Carolina's Hayden Hurst, Dallas is Jake Ferguson, Denver is probably my favorite. Indy's nothing. Let's go Denver tight end. It's not worth probably getting a second tight end. It's just really ugly there. Defense, Chargers is a pretty good defense. Jets is a pretty good defense. Let's go Jets.
Chargers could stack up with the running back.
I don't
know if that matters.
Let's do that. It does, because if the defense is doing well, they're more likely to run. They're more likely to be ahead in games. So that's good. Now we have 5 slots available. Of the wide receivers, I like Washington wide receiver because you're getting Terry McLaurin, you're getting Jahan Dotson.
Yep, that's pretty solid.
Chicago and Atlanta literally throw the 2 least out of any team in the league. That does not feel like something we want. Atlanta is basically just Drake London. Chicago is Moore and Mooney. Let's throw Baltimore wide receivers. We get Lamar throwing the ball. They brought in Beckham. They have Zay Flowers and Bateman, so I like that one. Let's go Buffalo running back just to get another kind of extra from a flex standpoint. We've got 3 wide receivers and we've got 3 running backs. All right, let's go New England QB and New England wide receiver.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not pretty, but we have that. We have that stack sitting there, and not a ton of other options. So I feel like that does it pretty well. We got some decent correlation here with the Cleveland stack and the New England stack. We've also got the Chargers running back and defense. So
yeah, and you know what?
Made it work.
If DeAndre Hopkins signs with New England, that changes a lot. It makes that wide receiver card a lot more valuable. It also helps Mac Jones for the QB card. So maybe there's a little sneaky upside in that New England one. But really what we're looking for is just, hey, a couple big games where Cleveland and QB wide receiver have some big games. New England QB wide receiver have some big games. They're correlated together. We love that correlation. It means when we make bets, we have fewer things that we have to get right. So overall, I'd say this is an okay card. I like the running backs a lot. Wide receivers are okay. Cleveland and Washington are pretty decent. Leaves a little bit desired at tight end and QB.
There we have it. Saving the lineup here. Remember, you can head on over otmnft.com/blitzfantasy. And now we got to go ahead here. Give me a hashtag best ball in the chat here. One lucky winner is going to win the pack that we just opened up. Hashtag best ball here in the comments. Like the stream while you're at it. We're going to be back hanging out all summer long. Really pumped for football season. We've also, for anyone out there that is going to be in Vegas in 2.5 weeks here, 2 weeks. Coming up quickly, July 7th to 9th, we are going to be in Vegas, staying at the Flamingo. We've got NBA Con going on. We've got some fun plans on Friday. We're going to be doing a little mini golf action. So a little mini golf for the Jolly Joker and
a little competition mini golf. The winner may even get a little prize.
Oh yeah. You always got to be competing for something. So we're going to have that going down. Hashtag best ball in the chat if you want to enter the giveaway. feel like they're not coming through or something.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Where's chat?
Something weird is happening because they're showing up on the YouTube.
Yeah.
But they're not showing up in StreamYard. Huh. Let me see what's happening here.
So you see them on YouTube, but we don't see them in StreamYard.
Okay, here we go. Now I got them at least. I got 17 entries.
Okay, we just can't see. So
for some reason they're not showing up in chat in StreamYard, but they are showing up in the YouTube.
Yeah,
that's a new one.
Just Well, as long as people were able to enter, as long as we got them in the giveaway, that's what really matters.
Yeah, we got them. So let me go back here to share that. We'll spin the old StreamYard giveaway. Remember, hashtag Best Ball. Last chance here. 17 people on in there. Make sure you get your entry in. Put you into the drawing. And then
let's do it.
We can go for it. All right. The winner here is
it gonna have a Jolly Joker PFP? I'm seeing a few out there.
We got
Micah
Dickens. Congratulations. You are the winner of this June Best Ball pack. You can either DM Justin or DM me, or hit me up in the Discord. We'll make sure we get you all squared away. We'll just need your OTM username in order to transfer that pack over your way and get entered in the contest. And you can either keep the lineup that we built and let it ride, make any changes you want, re-roll the pack. The choice is yours.
That's it. Yeah. So as TJ said, DM me, DM TJ, open a ticket in the OTM Jolly Jokers Discord, any of those, and we'll get you handled. Congratulations, Micah. Everyone else, best of luck. I feel so quiet that we can't see their chat coming up.
I don't know what happened. I feel so lonely. I was like, wait, it says there's people here, but literally I've never seen nobody enter the giveaway before. That doesn't seem correct. Huh. Well, maybe that's what happens when we've been on here. Well. Been on here for over an hour. We're going to be on for even more than an hour next Tuesday. So mark your calendars for that next Tuesday, starting at 3 p.m. Full afternoon of talking some football, followed up by a poker game after it, and really ramping things up.
I'm going to be reading some Scott Hansen advice on how to do an 8-hour stream without going to the restroom. Start the day off with an extra amount of sodium in your diet. 1 water bottle that you have throughout the day trains his bladder. Well done, Scott Hansen. If only we could learn from the best.
True professional, a true master of his craft. Can't wait to be watching some Red Zone on Sundays. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Justin, as always, for dropping your best ball knowledge. And if we don't see you, have a great weekend and talk soon. Peace.